and it caught Bernie Perron's banner on fire.
Welcome to this week's episode of It's 70 Degrees Outside, so I am no longer depressed.
Nice.
I'm just kidding. Welcome to Millennials Looking for Mentors. I'm Klein Aliardi.
And I'm Elyse and thank you to Jefferson Health, New Jersey for sponsoring this episode.
This week we're talking to Lara Price. She is EVP and Chief Operating Officer of the Philadelphia 76ers and Harris Blitzer Sports and Entertainment. Which is a mouthful. I can't breathe.
That is a title.
It's a title. It's what dreams are made of. No, the best part of this interview though is hearing not horror stories, mistake stories. We need a better phrase for what they are.
An office whoopsie.
That's
what it's gonna be from now on. It's
not
an office
what we're
whoopsie.
calling it. I hate that.
Why not? I just don't understand. What could you not like about that?
The word, no. Have I ever told you about the time that I accidentally spent $7,000?
No. What did you do?
I worked. It was really bad. It was like, not a good moment. It was a huge mistake. I almost started crying. It was awful. How do I say this without explaining what the company was? Whatever. We were doing gifts, basically. And in a certain tier of gifts, there was going to be an item. And then in a different tier of gifts, that item wasn't going to be there. And so instead of dividing the number of that item that I had to order in half, because we only needed them for certain tiers, I just ordered all of them.
Did you get yelled at?
I didn't get yelled at because my boss was like very nice about it. But it was also like, dude, no. I went in with a solution. I was like, hey, I totally messed this up. Here's what I'm going to do about it. You know, type of a thing, which like doesn't make it okay, but it makes it better. Guys, life is stressful.
Yeah.
And that's why you should go on a daily walk when it's 70 degrees outside.
That's where I'm heading next.
So go ahead and listen to Lara while you go enjoy outside. Really quick question.
Yes.
Where's your favorite spot to watch the game?
So in person live is my favorite spot. I stand. I usually encourage people not to stand next to me because what happens when we miss a shot or we make a good shot, I tend to grab and hold, or I can't help it because I just get too involved in the game.
Yep.
So I'm like, don't stand close to me if the game's close. It's not a good experience for the person in front of me.
That's so funny.
And then, my second spot is just on my couch, which, I can actually yell at the TV, which my dogs look at me like I'm nuts, but no one can hear. I have my own conversations and,
right.
It's nice there because then I'm not getting distracted. So, but there's nothing like a live experience, but, we're also working. So sometimes I can't always watch at home. I can watch the whole thing.
So tell us a little bit about what your day-to-day looks like.
My day-to-day changes a lot. I think, as you know, I'm COO of the Sixers, but EVP of HBSC. So I also travel up north to see the Devils games. So I kind of do both. So it depends on where the games are, what concerts we might have, or any business that we have. But, typically it's quite a few meetings. I try to get in early to get through my emails.
What's the percentage of emails that you absolutely have to get in your inbox compared to emails that you're just like, I do not need this right now?
It's interesting. Early on when we were doing ticket sales and I wanted to engage with our ticket sales stuff, I asked to be put on the list for every sale that is done. So I get a lot of emails coming through from our sales group.
Gosh.
So, but I think those are important. So it does add a ton of volume to my inbox.
Right.
We have spam filters. I think they pull out a lot of those, but it does come down to, I'll use specifically on game days. I have to start like scanning through and prioritizing because, it'll be certain people that I know I have to get back to versus ones that I know that I can wait on. But I would probably say, 80% of the ones that are in there are ones that I need or I think are important that I need to respond to. Another 20% are ones that, that I can either pass on to somebody else or I can ignore.
Yeah, that's a good balance.
Mm-hmm.
Something I'm always interested in is communication styles. And you, as you were saying earlier, with working with even like the Devils and then also the Sixers, and then within the Sixers, there's your team and then there's coaching staff and employees. Do you find that you change your communication style based on who you're interacting with?
So I would tell you generally like my delivery in communication is the same. I am very collaborative. I think telling people more so everyone knows and is aware and then can point out something if I've totally missed it. I'd rather have someone point out to me because I was moving too fast or didn't think something through, wasn't aware of something else. So I generally am more collaborative in terms of communication across the board because I think it's super helpful for everyone to understand, on point for messaging, what are we saying about the team? If there's an injury with someone, everyone knows so they're not guessing and spreading misinformation. I think the only time I would tell you where I'm not collaborative is if you're in the heat of a battle or something and as a leader you have to like make the decision and tell people what to do versus saying, what do you think? I'd like your input.
And how do you know when it's time to be like, okay, it's time for me to make the decision?
Usually I would tell you, if you've spent too much time on something, like it's just repetitive, if I'm doing the collaborative style, and you just keep going around in circles and around in circles, then at that point, I think as a leader, it's your time to say, okay, now we're making the decision. So, there's no, I think of emergencies. Let's put this in perspective. Emergencies in the sports world and what I do is not an emergency like war or someone in an emergency room, or doctors saving cancer, it's all relative. And like, we spend a lot of time on this and take it really seriously, but, in our world, having to make those quick decisions. But, we've had instances like this where, the basket, that just happened in another market. The basket breaks, doesn't work. There's not a lot of time. You got to move. The NBA is like TikTok, use the broadcast. You can be fined for that stuff. So there's not a lot of time. You should have processes in place for those emergency situations. And again, that's not life-saving. That's just one of those things that, communication is critical and getting the right people, knowing who you actually need to communicate with. And then you can tell everyone else after the fact, after you've done those, emergency communications.
Wow. Was there a time, maybe before the basket, where something like that happened, one of those crises happened that taught you like, oh, we need to be like prepared for this. Like we need to put something in place so that, because it's such a big, not having a basket, like the whole thing.
I'll give you my own personal one. Okay. This is funny. It wasn't funny at the time. So this is back in my Comcast Spectacor days. We did a lot of game presentation and I was I think I might've been marketing director or VP of marketing. And, we did a lot of pyro and did a lot of great things for our game intros. And, you have to work with the fire department and, you have to get all the checks done because, you're using flammable stuff. So somehow we shot off fireworks and it caught Bernie Perron's banner on fire.
Oh no.
Yeah. So,
oh my gosh.
So, processes in place.
Of all the people.
Yes, I know. So of everything, again, like it was okay. We had the fire extinguisher, but we thought we had everything checked. Obviously we didn't. So you change what you have to do. But yeah, it was, that communication, like all of a sudden you look up there and you're like, wait, there's smoke coming. So then it's like emergency, getting on the horn with the building and making sure that they're up there. And it's nothing worse than that. Obviously we replaced it, but yeah, it's funny now. It was not funny back then.
Right. Oh, I'm
my
sure.
gosh, I can imagine.
When you look up and you see smoke, that's not a good moment.
Yes, not a good sign. We also had another one where we were dropping t-shirts and the little parachutes. And players at the free throw line, and all of a sudden water comes down. So stop the game. We think there's a leak in the roof. They go up there and someone had left a water bottle and kicked it over. So no food, no water in the catwalk ever again with anybody. And we had to like get a pre-check done, right? To make sure there was nothing up there and accidentally knocked over.
Oh my gosh. Could you imagine being that person who left the water bottle?
Yeah, but we never found out who it was. Obviously they didn't fess up because by the time we got up there, no one was there.
Yeah. I'm going to be honest. I would not come forward with that one.
Right.
I'd be like,
see, our team, it's so hard to hide because it's like, it's either me or Klein.
Exactly.
We'll throw each other
So that when those things happen, the league gets involved too, by the way. So that makes it a whole nother level of complexity.
Wow.
Because they want to know who's at fault, what's going to happen, how are you going to fix it? Because it was a delay of game. So you live and learn on those. Those are tough ones, but you can look back on it and laugh now, just
Right.
not then.
Oh my gosh.
So how do your goals differ between when the Sixers are doing really well, like currently, which I'm a huge fan of, and when they might be not doing really well, it might be going through the process,
Right.
let's say.
I would tell you that our goals pretty much remain the same. How we go about achieving them are different. So that's what I would tell you is like, we want to have the best environment in all of sports when our fans are at the game, engaging, entertaining, not just on the court. Because if the team's not playing as well, when we go back to those days, where everyone referred to as the process, that was a little bit tougher for fans to watch. So we had to be more creative, right? But the goal was still to provide the most entertaining venue in the NBA. But I remember my old boss said to me at one point, and this is before Josh Harris and David Blitzer on our team. I was with Comcast and under the umbrella with Ed Snyder and Comcast. And they had just gotten a really big superstar on the hockey side for the Flyers. And we were still struggling. And he said to my counterpart, he's like, I just made you a genius, but you better find more revenue. And then for me, I had to figure out, I had to get to my budget, right? But because he got the ticket sales and everything was right there, it was like, okay, well, now you have your budget. Now you've got to find other revenue, inventory to sell. You have to be more creative. So it's not like, okay, good, you made your budget, you're done. That's not how this ever works. So if you sell out your arena to capacity, then you're always looking at, well, do we raise ticket prices? Do we not? What areas do we raise the ticket prices? And then, you look at sponsors, you bring more in, but you have limited inventory. And, we're a tenant at the Wells Fargo Center here. So, we have limited inventory. So we have to be creative off the court and in and around, things that we do. And I think we have an unbelievable team that does that.
That's interesting.
How involved are you with that? Coming up with those ideas? Is it like you take a lot of personal initiative in that, or is it kind of passing it on to your team and trusting them?
Early on, I would say in my career, I was really, really involved. And I think a lot of that stuff has just evolved. Like we always all teams and all sports copy each other. Someone has a good idea and then you take it and you make it better. That's what we do. I'll give you a specific example. So when we were in the early years of the process, Brett Brown was really helpful to us on the business side. So we basically just attacked our different groups of season ticket holders in different ways. So for our courtside seat holders, we held a dinner and the entire coaching staff broke down tape and literally went through how they defend plays, how they think about training our players. They had our training staff, what diets they had, and went through everything with them. And everyone got to ask questions. So it was a really personal, hands-on touch to say, look, I'm the coach, I believe in this, and this is what I'm doing. I want you to believe with me.
Yeah.
And then for all of our other season ticket holders, every game, we'd probably bring around 20 people down to where we do our post-game media, and coach would talk to those fans and they get to ask him questions. And then, our CEO, our president, myself, we would do meetings with fans too, that listen to them. A lot of it's listening. These fans in Philadelphia and New Jersey and the Delaware area are very, very loyal. They can criticize their teams. No one else can. But, if they stop talking about you, that's when you have to be really concerned. The apathy is the worst thing that you can have in sports. I'll take the complaining. That means they care.
Right.
I don't know that you'll ever find that in Philadelphia. I don't know if we're really apathetic city.
I agree.
Don't see that in our future.
I agree.
So you've talked before about the Sixers international reach. What strategies have you been using to kind of push that? And where have you been really successful so far?
Sure. So basketball is an international sport. And as you know, with Ferk and Joel, specifically right now, they have international appeal. And the league is based on a lot of players on each team doing that. So that is helpful. But for us specifically, we have a team of people that we hired that specifically focus on getting content for those countries. And a lot of times we'll try to get, the player to speak in the language to the fans, which makes such a huge difference that, and it's translated. And, you have to listen to what the fans want. So I know specifically, in China, they don't necessarily want the basketball highlights. They can get all of that. What they want is behind the scenes lifestyle stuff. So the more that we can tailor it to the needs of those fans, and then we, put it on Weibo, that really helps build the brand in them to get to know the players. So we've seen a lot of success doing that, and I always have to go back to Allen Iverson. I mean, he still is one of the top players in Asia. I mean, his brand equity there is unbelievable.
Wow.
So there's a lot of power in that, right? Jersey sales, people want to meet him. And, so we, once the COVID subsides, that kind of put a damper on everything. We'll continue to go back over there. Our new CEO, Tad Brown, was in Houston, and they had Yao Ming. So they had a ton of success in going over there. And we have a young lady who oversees our international stuff. Her name is Sunshine. And she will help us set up these meetings over there to get, Allen Iverson, Julius Erving. Harder to do with our current players because of the fact that they're playing all the time and we can't get them to leave.
Yeah.
All right, stop. I'm going to hold on.
Yeah.
I was like, all right, here we go. You're going to have to edit.
I was wondering about that.
The lights go off.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, energy saving. Sorry about that. I may have to do
Yeah.
that again. I'm trying not to move and like shake and show around.
I appreciate that, honestly. You encourage your employees to have a good work-life balance. Was there a moment that made you realize that was a priority to you?
It's interesting. A former boss that I had said, it's almost impossible to get a work-life balance. It's just be present wherever you are. If you're home, be present. Do not look at your phone. If you're at work, be present. The work will be there, and learning how to prioritize that not everything's an emergency is super critical. So I try to be really supportive with the staff on that, and from the top down, they really are supportive. They take their vacation. People need to see you taking vacation to know it's okay. Because if you're not doing it, then they're like, wait, I'm going to get in trouble if I'm not taking vacation. I don't see my boss doing that.
Right.
So, that's really important as a leader too, to do.
Have you, obviously you do work so hard. Have there been times that you've had to go talk to your boss or your supervisor and talk about getting a promotion or some other kind of benefit?
You know what? Absolutely, on all of them. And I would tell you, one of the things that I tell young people and, specifically women is if you don't ask, you're not going to get. You can't sit there and expect that everyone's going to give you the benefit of the doubt and say, she works so hard, I'm going to give her a promotion. I'm going to give her this or him this. So you have to ask for that. And it's uncomfortable conversations because no one, likes to ask for that stuff. And then, if your boss isn't expecting it, it's uncomfortable for them, so you just, I think thinking through how you present something and really being prepared and not being emotional is super important when you do that stuff. But you have to ask. If you don't ask, you will not get. And I always tell everyone like that. Just you can't. You're your own enemy. It's your own fault if you don't ask. And if someone gets a promotion and someone didn't know you wanted it, or if you've been doing all this work and you don't get the raise, you may not get it all. You may not get any, but at least you've asked and they're aware.
And so one of the exciting things for me in sports, because I'm like recently getting into sports, is seeing women executives who are involved. It kind of makes me feel like I can start watching and not feel like a poser who doesn't know anything. How has that been like being a part of that shift?
I was fortunate enough when I got to the NBA, I had a female boss and she was a vice president. There weren't that many of them. She kind of took me under her wing, and then she introduced me to Susan O'Malley, who was running the Washington Wizards and their ticket. So there was a few women role models for me, but for the most part, it was just very different. It was very male dominated and conversations were very different. They're not acceptable in this day and age. So that's been a major shift. It's still predominantly male oriented, but I look across in our offices and we've got so many female vice presidents. Chief revenue officer is a female, and we had a GM up at the Peru Center who was a female. To have Kate Scott as a first female play-by-play, it's just awesome, and she's an unbelievable person, and everyone supports her so much, from the top down. And there's another female report play-by-play in Milwaukee. So, you're starting to see the female officials, all of this stuff is like transforming our business, and they're now starting to trickle over into hockey ops, basketball ops. We have Megan Dugan on the hockey side, and, she's incredible, and she's working with our players, and they respect her because she's an unbelievable athlete, mom herself, so it's so exciting for me to see. And I know Adam Silver on a league perspective, and then, Josh Harris and David Blitzer on a team perspective are so focused on making sure that we have an environment that supports women and diversity across the board. We still have a lot of work to do, but the fact that, the people who are leading our leagues and, you know, and our own partners that manage these teams are focused on it it's everything.
Okay. And then we have a really quick little segment we do at the end of all of our interviews called This or That. So we're going to give you two options and you just pick one.
Okay.
So the first one is work at the stadium or work from home.
At the stadium.
I get that.
Do you want feedback on that, or
do you want to give feedback on that? You can totally. This is all you.
Yeah, I would tell you, it's like I like the stadium because I just like interacting with people. Yeah. I love my dogs, but like being at home with them and barking all day, I'm like I can't. They're awesome, but yeah,
I get that.
I prefer interaction with people. Like I get my energy off of people. You know, I like peace and quiet, and when I need it, that's fine. But like generally, I like being around people.
Yeah.
So 3-pointer or dunk?
3-pointer or what? I'm sorry.
Dunk.
Oh, sorry. I would say 3-pointer.
Ooh.
Okay.
Okay. I would like an explanation on that because I wrote that out and I was like, I don't know what she's going to choose.
So I think of like, you know what my mind immediately went to is like the 3-point contest in the NBA All-Star game. Like, you know, and what Steph Curry did for the All-Star, like he had 16 threes. That made it exciting. One dunk, but like to have a performance like that, I just, and that might be because of his performance that's in my head. But I just think that's like, competitive part of that. And it's a big part of our game now. I just think that's why I went to the 3 points.
Right. That does make sense. Digital calendar or paper planner?
I am old school. Hello.
Not alone.
But I do have a digital calendar because I have someone help me manage it. But for me, I write everything in my paper planner.
Love it. Love it.
So sports bar or cocktail bar?
Sports bar.
Nice.
I guess that would make sense, right?
Not always. Like I have girlfriends. None of my girlfriends are in sports. Like my friends, you know, that are away from work, they're all cocktail. So I'll go that with them too. But like, you know, I just sports bar. I don't have to dress up as much, and it can be a little bit more casual.
That's fair.
That's a good time. All right. Well, thank you so much for this. This was
thank
fantastic.
You. You guys are amazing. This was fun. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Good.
So thank you to Laura for that awesome interview. We
hope you enjoyed your walk outside in the nice weather.
But
while you listen to
better than I enjoyed mine with my dog and his terrible leash skills. So well, make sure you tune in next time. We have new episodes of Millennials Looking for Mentors every other Wednesday.
And if you know someone who you want us to talk to, shoot us an email at mlfmpodcast@gmail.com.
See you next time.
Bye.
Bye.